Welcome back to Gotham Trends. Today, we're going deep.
Deep.
Yeah, we're diving headfirst into some recently declassified government documents.
Oh, yeah.
This is the stuff that history buffs dream about.
Absolutely.
Or, maybe have nightmares about.
Depends what we find, right?
Yeah, depending on what we find in here.
Exactly. So these aren't just any documents. We're talking about files related to the assassinations of JFK, RFK, and MLK.
Wow. Okay, so we've got...
Big stuff.
Yeah, we've got some big stuff to cover here. And events that, shook the nation, they still spark a lot of debate today.
Absolutely.
So I guess for our listeners who maybe aren't as familiar with these cases, let's rewind a little bit.
Okay.
JFK's assassination back in 1963, a young president.
Cut down in his prime.
Yeah.
Yeah, those images are just seared into our collective memories.
It's hard to even think about.
Yeah.
That official explanation, the lone gunman theory.
Right.
It's always been met with some skepticism.
Or absolutely a healthy dose of skepticism.
Really?
Right.
The Warren Commission report, they were thorough, but there were a lot of unanswered questions, and it really fueled...
Conspiracy theories?
Oh, yeah, a firestorm of conspiracy theories that are still going strong today.
Right. And that's what makes it so interesting because, was Lee Harvey Oswald truly acting alone?
Right.
Was there something else going on?
Something more sinister, yeah.
Yeah. And were there missteps, by the FBI?
Potentially even darker whispers of a cover-up, right?
Yeah. These are big questions.
Huge.
And people have been asking these for decades.
For decades, yeah, and with good reason.
Yeah.
The fact that the government kept so many documents classified for so long,
right,
even after the 1992 JFK Records Act, which was all about transparency,
right,
it just deepened the mystery.
It does make you wonder.
Like they were guarding a vault.
Yeah.
A vault of secrets. And now, thanks to former President Trump's executive order,
okay,
that vault's cracking open. So what are we talking about here? What kind of revelations could be in these files? What's got everyone so excited?
Well, for starters, just last year, batch of JFK files was released, and they revealed that the CIA had been tracking Oswald's movements before the assassination.
Oh, wow.
Including a trip to Mexico City, where he met with Soviet and Cuban officials.
Really?
This wasn't exactly front-page news back then, but the extent of what the CIA knew about Oswald's activities is definitely raising some eyebrows.
Hold on. So the CIA knew about these meetings.
They did.
And didn't really raise any red flags.
Well, it's concerning, to say the least.
It's very concerning, to say the least. It's like something out of a spy thriller.
Exactly.
And this is just one example.
Just one.
The JFK files.
We haven't even touched on RFK or MLK.
Oh, man. Okay, so RFK, his assassination in 1968.
Yeah, just as he was campaigning for president.
It's almost too tragic to comprehend.
It is.
Two breaths.
Both struck down in their prime.
Yeah. And then the official narrative about his death. Sirhan is the lone gunman.
Right.
Again, lots of inconsistencies, unanswered questions.
Oh, yeah. Riddled with them.
Yeah.
There have always been people who believe that Sirhan was a patsy.
A patsy.
A pawn in some larger, more sinister game.
Yeah.
Some theories suggest that he was brainwashed, even hypnotized to carry out the assassination.
That's chilling.
It is.
And RFK, he had some powerful enemies.
Oh, he dies crying.
Anti-war activists.
Yeah.
Who saw him as a traitor.
Yeah, so, it's not surprising that there are all these conspiracy theories floating around.
It's a recipe for them.
Yeah.
And that's where these declassified files could offer some incredible insights.
Okay.
They might contain information about Sirhan's psychological state, potential links to other people or groups, or even evidence of manipulation or coercion.
Oh, wow.
Imagine finding a document that reveals that Sirhan had been in contact with some shadowy organization.
Yeah.
Or had received training in marksmanship.
Wow. It would change everything.
Yeah, it would completely change our understanding of what happened.
Absolutely.
And it's like we're trying to solve this puzzle,
right,
but we're missing half the pieces.
Exactly.
And maybe these files are those pieces.
They could be the missing links.
Shedding light on the true motives.
Yeah. And the players.
Yeah.
Involved in RFK's assassination.
It's both exciting and terrifying.
It is a bit of both.
Yeah, to think about what we might find.
And then there's the case of Martin Luther King Jr.
Right.
Another towering figure whose assassination in 1968 just sent shockwaves through the nation.
Yeah.
While James Earl Ray confessed to the crime.
Right.
A lot of people, including MLK's own family, believe there was more to the story.
The idea of a lone racist gunman taking down a leader like Dr. King.
Right.
It just doesn't sit right with a lot of people.
It doesn't. And let's not forget the context.
Yeah.
Civil rights movement was gaining momentum, challenging the very fabric of American society.
Right.
Dr. King was a lightning rod.
Yeah. For both admiration and hatred.
Absolutely.
So it's not crazy to think that these files could contain information about a broader conspiracy.
It's not, involving government agencies or even white supremacist groups that wanted Dr. King silenced.
Yeah.
They could reveal connections, hidden agendas, actions that were deliberately concealed from the public.
It's like we're peeling back.
Layers of history.
Yeah, and revealing the truth beneath the official narrative.
Exactly.
Okay, my mind is officially blown.
Mine too.
We're talking about potentially rewriting history here. But before we get too carried away with the what-ifs and all the conspiracy theories, let's step back for a second
Okay.
and think about the potential risks of declassifying such sensitive information.
You're right. We need to tread carefully here.
This isn't just about, satisfying our curiosity.
Right.
It's about potentially disrupting.
The balance of power,
Yeah,
revealing uncomfortable truths that some people might prefer to keep buried.
absolutely. And, releasing this kind of information could have a ripple effect.
Oh, it could.
Yeah, jeopardizing national security.
Exposing sensitive sources
Yeah.
and potentially even inciting violence.
Imagine uncovering evidence that a foreign government was involved in one of these assassinations.
I mean, that could lead to diplomatic crises,
Yeah.
economic sanctions, even military conflict.
And then there's the concern about, fueling these conspiracy theories even further.
Right. Some people might see these documents as proof of what they've believed all along,
Yeah.
no matter what the evidence actually shows.
All right, it's like giving someone a loaded weapon
Exactly.
when they're already convinced the world is against them.
The information taken out of context or misinterpreted could be used to spread misinformation, sow distrust, even
Yeah.
incite violence.
So how do we navigate this? How do we balance the public's right to know with the potential risks of revealing this kind of information?
It's a delicate balance.
Yeah.
Transparency is crucial for a healthy democracy, but it can't come at the expense of national security or public safety.
Right.
There needs to be a thorough vetting process to make sure that the information released is accurate, relevant, and doesn't pose a threat to anyone.
But who gets to decide what's safe to release and what should stay classified?
That's the question, isn't it?
Isn't there a risk of bias or censorship?
Absolutely. That's why it's crucial to have a transparent and accountable system in place.
Okay.
The review process should involve multiple perspectives: historians, legal experts, intelligence officials, representatives from the families of the victims.
Wow. So a lot of people need to be involved.
Yeah, there needs to be a clear set of criteria for declassification based on things like national security, privacy concerns, and the potential for harm.
It's a complex issue
It is.
with no easy answers.
No.
But I think the key takeaway is that transparency is essential, but it has to be pursued responsibly.
Responsibly.
Yeah, and with an understanding of the potential consequences.
I agree. It's not just about dumping a bunch of documents on the public
Right.
and letting them sort through it all. It's about a careful and considered release of information with context analysis
Yeah.
and a commitment to truth and accuracy.
So let's talk about the documents themselves.
Okay.
We've been using terms like classified files, secret documents.
Right.
But what does that really mean? What kind of information might these files actually contain?
We're talking about a huge collection of materials: FBI memos, CIA report, presidential correspondence, witness testimonies.
Wow.
You might find handwritten notes from agents, transcripts of wiretapped conversations, even photographs and video footage.
Wow. It's like stepping into a time capsule.
It is.
Getting a firsthand look at these investigations, it's like being a detective,
Exactly.
trying to piece together the puzzle.
And each document has the potential to tell a story,
Yeah.
to reveal a hidden truth.
Or challenge our assumptions about what happened.
Right. Imagine finding a memo from J. Edgar Hoover expressing his personal animosity towards Dr. King. Or a report detailing the CIA's efforts to track Oswald's movements before the JFK assassination.
That's incredible.
It is.
It's like having access to the raw, unfiltered thoughts and actions of the people who are involved in these events.
It makes history come alive.
It does. It makes it so much more real than reading about it in a textbook.
Absolutely. And it allows us to engage with history in a more critical and nuanced way.
So we're not just passively taking in information.
We're not.
Yeah, we're analyzing evidence, weighing different perspectives, forming our own conclusions.
Exactly.
You mentioned earlier that these documents might contain personal correspondence or private reflections.
Right.
I find that aspect really fascinating.
Me too.
It's one thing to read about historical events.
Right.
But it's another to hear the voices of the people who lived through them.
Absolutely. These personal accounts can humanize these figures.
Yeah.
They were more than just names in a history book.
Right.
They were husbands, fathers, sons, friends, colleagues, people with dreams, fears, aspirations, just like us.
I remember reading a declassified letter from Jackie Kennedy to Robert F. Kennedy.
After JFK's assassination.
Yeah, the grief and despair in her words were just heartbreaking.
It makes the tragedy feel so much more real, so much more personal.
It does.
Right?
Really.
Those glimpses into their lives can have a profound impact.
Yeah.
They help us connect with them, understand their motivations, appreciate the sacrifices they made.
So it's not just about uncovering conspiracies or exposing wrongdoings.
No.
It's also about understanding these individuals, their inner lives and their legacies.
Exactly. It's about piecing together a more complete and nuanced picture of history.
Yeah.
One that recognizes the complexities, the contradictions, and the human stories behind these events.
One of the things that strikes me about these assassinations is the timing.
The timing.
Yeah, JFK in 63, then RFK and MLK, both in 68.
Right.
It was a period of intense upheaval.
Social and political upheaval.
Yeah, the Civil Rights Movement, the Vietnam War, the Cold War. It felt like the world was on the brink.
It did. The 1960s was a decade of profound transformation. Old certainties were being challenged.
Yeah.
The very fabric of American society was being rewoven.
It was a time of great hope, but also deep anxiety.
It was both.
Yeah, anything seemed possible, good or bad.
And these assassinations, these sudden and violent deaths of such prominent figures, they seem to embody the turbulence of the era.
It's like punches to the gut.
Yeah.
Leaving the nation reeling, questioning everything.
Its values, its leadership, its very identity.
Yeah, they exposed the fault lines in American society.
The deep divisions over race, war, the role of government.
And they left a lasting legacy.
Of trauma, distrust, and a sense of lost innocence.
It's like the nation was robbed of its future.
Its potential.
Yeah, JFK's vision of a new frontier.
RFK's commitment to social justice.
MLK's dream.
Of a racially harmonious society. All of that was cut short.
Yeah, and we're still grappling with that today.
We are.
That's why these declassified documents are so important.
They offer us a chance to revisit those moments, to examine the forces that shaped them.
And to learn from the mistakes of the past.
History isn't just a collection of dates and names.
No.
It's a living, breathing entity.
That continues to influence us today.
Absolutely. And by confronting the complexities of the past, by grappling with those uncomfortable truths, we can hopefully build a better, more peaceful future.
We've talked a lot about the risks and the challenges of this kind of information.
We have.
But I think we're all a little curious.
Of course.
What are some of the secrets that these files might reveal? What are the big questions that researchers are hoping to answer? It's that mix of, historical significance and just good old-fashioned intrigue that makes these files so captivating.
Absolutely.
It's like we're opening a treasure chest filled with clues to history's greatest unsolved mysteries.
And one of the biggest mysteries is the question of conspiracy.
Right. Were these truly lone wolf attacks, or were there more complex plots at play?
Multiple actors, hidden agendas, powerful forces working behind the scenes.
Yeah, I mean, these files could offer a ton of information about that.
They could.
We might find evidence of connections that we never knew about.
Witness testimonies that were suppressed.
Yeah.
Details about people who were never even investigated.
In the JFK assassination,
Yeah.
these files could shed light on some of those big conspiracy theories.
Like the second shooter on the grassy knoll.
Right? Or the involvement of organized crime.
People who wanted Kennedy gone.
Yeah, imagine uncovering a document that places a mobster in Dallas that day.
Or a report that shows another gun was fired.
From somewhere else besides the book depository.
It would change everything.
It would be huge.
And for RFK, the files might reveal more about Sirhan's connections.
Okay.
Evidence to support or debunk those theories about him being manipulated or coerced.
What if there's a letter or a financial transaction?
Linking him to a radical group or a foreign government.
That would add a whole new layer to the case.
It would.
And for MLK, these files could have information about the FBI surveillance and harassment.
How far they went to discredit him and disrupt the movement.
And maybe even threats from other sources like white supremacist groups.
Who saw Dr. King as a threat?
Imagine uncovering a document outlining a plan to sabotage a civil rights event.
Or a report with credible threats against Dr. King's life.
It would force us to really rethink the official narrative.
Absolutely.
It's easy to get caught up in all this.
The excitement of the secrets.
Yeah, but we have to remember that not every conspiracy theory is going to be true.
Right.
We need to look at these documents critically and not jump to conclusions.
We have to separate speculation from facts.
Right.
Just because a theory sounds good or fits a certain narrative.
Doesn't mean it's true.
Exactly. We need to be aware of our own biases and avoid cherry-picking evidence.
And that's where historians and researchers come in.
They can help us sift through the data,
Yeah.
find credible sources,
Provide context and
but
analysis.
help us see the bigger picture.
It's like being a detective.
It is.
You gather the evidence, you consider all the angles.
And then you piece together the most likely explanation.
But even then, there might be missing pieces, gaps in the story.
That we may never be able to fill.
That's the nature of history, isn't it?
It is.
It's messy, it's complex, and often full of mystery.
But that's what makes it so fascinating.
It does.
The search for truth.
Yeah.
The quest to understand the past.
It never really ends.
It doesn't.
Even if these files don't answer all our questions,
Right.
they can still challenge our assumptions
Broaden our understanding.
and spark conversations about power, justice, and the legacy of these assassinations.
Absolutely. They can make us re-examine the official narratives, consider different perspectives.
And grapple with the complexities of history.
They can remind us of the importance of transparency and accountability in government,
Yeah.
the dangers of unchecked power, the fragility of democracy.
As we look at these dark chapters of American history, it's easy to feel overwhelmed by the tragedy and the sense of what could have been.
But we should also remember the hope, the courage, the idealism that these individuals embodied.
Yeah, JFK's new frontier.
RFK's commitment to social justice.
MLK's dream of racial equality.
They still inspire us today.
They remind us that even when things seem impossible,
You can still make a difference, fight for a better world, and leave a legacy of hope.
their stories show us that progress is hard.
But the fight for justice and equality is always worth it.
So we're at the end of our deep dive into these declassified files.
And we have more questions than answers.
We do, but that's okay.
It is.
The journey is often more rewarding than the destination.
And who knows what other secrets are waiting to be discovered.
As researchers keep looking through these documents,
It's an ongoing investigation, a puzzle we may never fully solve.
but piecing together the fragments, searching for truth and understanding.
That's a vital part of who we are.
It is.
It's how we learn from the past, honor those who came before us, and shape a better future.
Well said. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the secrets of history. Don't forget to subscribe to Gotham Trends and leave a comment with your thoughts and any questions you still have.